They looked like the couple who had it all: the music, the fame, the fairy tale romance. But what really happens when the cameras fade, when the crowd goes home, and the silence sets in? Blake Shelton's divorce from Gwen Stefani wasn't just another Hollywood breakup. It was the unraveling of a love story that millions believed in. And the truth behind it? It's more shocking, more heartbreaking, and more human than anyone imagined. At number 10, the moment that broke the internet. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani calling it quits. Yeah, I know, we've all seen celebrity splits, but this one hit different. These two were supposed to be the fairy tale couple. The proof that even after heartbreak and messy divorces, love could show up again, bigger and better than before. Fans weren't just rooting for them. They were invested. Every duet, every red carpet kiss, every Instagram post felt like a little reminder that true love might actually exist. So when the divorce news dropped, it wasn't just another headline, it was personal. People didn't scroll past. They froze, they sighed, some even cried. Because this wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the end of a story we thought we all knew. And the truth? That story runs way deeper than we ever realized. At number 9, let's rewind. Because to understand the heartbreak, you've got to remember how this all started. Picture it, 2015. The Voice is on fire. Bright lights, spinning chairs, millions glued to their TVs. Blake was fresh off a painful breakup with Miranda Lambert, still smiling on camera, but broken inside. Gwen? Same boat. She'd just gone through a brutal split with Gavin Rossdale, trying to hold her world together while raising 3 kids. 2 completely different stars, country's laid-back cowboy and pop's edgy fashion queen, colliding at exactly the moment they both needed someone. And wow, the chemistry was instant. They laughed. They comforted each other. They became friends. And before long, everyone could see it turning into something more. It felt like fate had pulled them together when they were at their lowest. Destiny, right? At least, that's how it seemed. At number 8, we got to see the magic unfold. Remember their first duet? Go Ahead and Break My Heart? That wasn't just a song. It was like they were letting us read love letters set to music. You could hear it in their voices, the way the lyrics weren't just lyrics. They were promises. They were confessions. And fans ate it up. They became the couple everyone wanted to believe in. Holidays on the ranch, trips to LA, Blake hanging with Gwen's kids like he'd always been in their lives. Interview after interview, they told the world how much they saved each other. Blake would say she pulled him out of his darkest days, and Gwen would gush about how he'd restored her faith in love. For a while, it honestly felt like they had built a bubble. Safe, untouchable, perfect. But here's the thing about bubbles. They always pop. At number 7, those little cracks started showing. At first, nobody wanted to admit it. Why ruin the dream? But behind the curtain, it wasn't all sunshine. Blake is Oklahoma through and through. He loves the ranch, wide skies, dirt roads, quiet nights. Gwen's a California girl with roots in LA, fashion, and the pop world. They tried to blend their worlds, red carpets one week, feeding cows the next. But after a while, those differences got harder to ignore. Distance wasn't just miles on a map. It was lifestyle. It was what they each wanted out of life. They still loved each other, sure, but even love can't erase the reality that sometimes you're just different. And slowly, those little differences turned into fault lines. At number 6, we hit the night that turned quiet whispers into full-blown chatter. The American Music Awards, a night that should have been all glitz and celebration. But when Gwen stepped out on that red carpet alone, the air changed. She looked incredible. Metallic gown, smile flashing, posing like the icon she is. But the question was immediate. Where was Blake? And honestly, his absence felt louder than the music. Fans jumped online instantly, speculating, guessing, filling comment sections with theories. Was it a fight? A last-minute change? trouble brewing, and then came the performance. Gwen sang a brand new song called No Apology Required. It wasn't just upbeat pop, it was raw, almost defiant. Lyrics about betrayal, distance, standing strong even when the harmony's gone. People in the crowd exchanged looks. Online, fans were buzzing. And the message? It seemed aimed straight at Blake. The stage was her diary, and everyone was reading it. And through all of this, Blake stayed silent, which in a way spoke louder than anything. Fans were left wondering, worrying, hoping. But the truth is, this is just the start. The story only gets heavier from here. And trust me, the top 5 will pull you in deeper than you expect. Because the heartbreak, the revelations, the twists, they're about to change how you see everything. At number 5, this is where things start to sting. Because up until now, it felt like maybe, just maybe, the storm could pass. That they'd patch it up, like couples do, and come back stronger. But then came the whispers from people close to them. Friends started noticing the distance, not just miles, but in their hearts. Blake wasn't showing up to as many of Gwen's LA events. Gwen wasn't spending as much time on the Oklahoma ranch. And when they were together, it wasn't the playful teasing we used to see in interviews. It was quieter, heavier, almost like they were forcing smiles for the cameras. One friend said it best. It felt like the magic had drained out of the room. And when people who love you start noticing that, you know the writing's on the wall. Fans picked up on it too. The chemistry that once lit up every stage suddenly felt dim. At number 4, things went from uneasy silence to full-on heartbreak when Blake made a rare, vulnerable confession during an interview. He didn't say Gwen's name, but his words carried weight. Talking about relationships, he admitted, "Sometimes you think you've found forever, and then life shows you it's not that simple." He paused, looked down, and for just a second you could see it. The pain. Fans replayed that clip over and over, analyzing every blink, every sigh. Was he talking about Gwen? Was this his way of saying goodbye without actually saying it? The moment hit hard, because this was Blake Shelton, the jokester, the guy who always had a witty comeback. But in that moment, there were no jokes. Just a man who looked like he was mourning something he still loved but couldn't hold on to. And it broke people's hearts. But nothing prepared us for number 3, the official announcement. No rumor, no speculation. Just the truth out in the open. A joint statement released to the press, short and simple, but devastating all the same. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani had decided to divorce. No fighting words, no messy details, just 2 people admitting that what once felt unshakable had come to an end. And honestly, that made it hurt even more. Because when couples split with drama, fans can kinda take sides, throw blame, make sense of it. But this wasn't that. This was quiet, respectful, almost too polite. Which made it feel final, real. Fans flooded social media with shock, sadness, even anger. Not them. Anyone but them. And if you scrolled through the comments, you could see it plain as day. People weren't just mourning a celebrity couple. They were mourning the hope that even in Hollywood, true love could win. At number 2, this is where Blake's heartbreak shifted from whispers and speculation to something you could feel in every word he sang. After the announcement, he stepped on stage for one of his first performances as a newly single man. And you could tell he wasn't the same. Fans who've followed him for years said his voice carried a weight it never had before. He sang one of his older ballads, a song about love slipping away, and when he hit the chorus, his voice cracked, not in a bad way, but in that raw, human way that makes you stop and think, "Oh man, he's really living this." The crowd felt it too. There were tears. People held up their phones, capturing not just the music, but the vulnerability pouring out of him. It wasn't entertainment anymore. It was confession. And for a guy like Blake, who usually hides pain behind a smile or a joke, that moment was monumental. It felt like he was letting us into his private grief, and fans couldn't help but cry with him. And then came number 1. The moment that truly left fans shattered. After weeks of silence, Blake released a brand new song. And this wasn't just another country track. This was his story. From the opening lines, listeners knew exactly who it was about. The heartbreak, the regret, the lingering love. It was all there, laid bare in every lyric. One line in particular stuck with fans. I thought we'd grow old on that porch, but now it's just me and the wind. Simple. Devastating. That one line spread across social media like wildfire. People wrote in the comments how they listened on repeat, how it reminded them of their own breakups, how Blake had somehow put their pain into words. The song wasn't just music, it was therapy. For him, for his fans. And that's why it hit so hard. Because you weren't just hearing about his divorce. You were feeling it, as if it were your own. What makes this even more powerful is how Blake carried himself afterward. He didn't go on a trash-talking spree. He didn't try to turn fans against Gwen. Instead, he leaned into honesty, into humility. In one quiet interview, he admitted, "I don't have the answers. I'm just trying to figure it out, like everybody else." That line, that honesty, was the most human thing he could have said. It stripped away the celebrity glow and left us with just a man, broken but still standing. And maybe that's why fans connected so deeply. Because when you strip away the fame, the tours, the millions of records, Blake's heartbreak looked a lot like ours. And here's the truth. What we saw wasn't just a divorce. It was a story about love, about hope, about loss, and about the courage to keep moving forward when your heart's been shattered. Fans didn't just cry because Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani split. They cried because it reminded them of their own losses, their own what-ifs, their own nights staring at the ceiling wondering what went wrong. Blake's story is a mirror, and sometimes that mirror shows us more than we want to see. But if there's a silver lining here, it's this. Blake isn't done, not by a long shot. He's still writing, he's still singing, he's still showing up. And even if his forever love slipped away, he's proof that music can turn pain into something beautiful. That maybe, just maybe, heartbreak can carve out space for something new down the road. So, as we close this countdown, let me leave you with this thought. Love doesn't always end the way we dreamed, but the stories we carry, the songs we sing, the memories we hold, they matter. They shape us. And in Blake Shelton's case, they connect millions of us who've felt the same sting of goodbye. This isn't just his story. It's ours too.
I love making an album, but titling it has never been a...
No. It was up to you.
I mean, look what the name of my title is. For recreational use only. That's
Yes.
like a...